But if I do that, I want you guys to puppet me like Weekend at Bernie's puppet. Just be like,
You're not dead.
huh? I mean, technically, yeah. Well, it's that thing that everyone does when it's the end of the year and you want to talk about video games, except it's 2021. It's a new year, and it doesn't seem like hi, you guys know me. I am TL Foster or Turbo Bison because we're here at youtube.com/Turbo Bison, and this is my game of the year type deal list thing. I don't know. I'm just joking. This is my game of the year. Yeah, what a year 2020 was. It was a decade in a year in 6 months. But the great thing was there's a lot of really good video games. And I want to talk about some of these games that were just really influential to me this last couple of years. Or this last year. It seems like a couple of years. There's just so much that happened. There was an election. There was an insurrection. There was just so much. And Tiger King? You remember that? Tiger King was literally last year. Like, that the whole Kiribati thing, it seems like 5 years ago, but it wasn't. So, this is my list. And if you don't like it, cool, because it's my list, not yours. Make your own list. And then I'll watch it, and I'll be like, okay, that's a list. All right, so my number 10. I love nostalgia. I just grow up and I think of things that are really cool from my childhood, like Bucky O'Hare, or you ever remember Bucky O'Hare? It's a rabbit. He's a green rabbit. I don't know if you know, but I love that stuff. And I love beat 'em ups. So Streets of Rage 4 was a game that I didn't know was coming. And when I played it, it just clicked to me. It's, of course, a very old school type beat 'em up, but with brand new graphics. Very much reminds me of something like very comic booky. But what made it really fun is it really played on using fighting game combinations with the old beat 'em up system. It's just really, really cool with the different characters that they have. I love seeing more Pacific Islander based characters. That's always really cool to me. But then, like, just with the diversity of the characters in the cast and how everyone feels and plays differently, and then being able to, once you beat the game, play with a lot of the older characters in their sprite-based forms. Really, really cool. It's definitely a really fun game, albeit kind of shortish. So if you get a chance, please check out Streets of Rage 4, one of the best games I've played. The Paper Mario franchise has been up and down, to say the very least. From a game that had possibly two of my favorite games of all time, in Paper Mario and Paper Mario 1000 Years Door, to being a franchise that's been mediocre at best and absolutely terrible at worst. My number 9 game, Paper Mario and the Origami King, was a very refreshing. It's a good reminder that this Paper Mario studio can do really good games that can challenge what you think about combat and what you think about gameplay in an RPG. This game brought back a lot of things that we were missing in a lot of other games. I think having a very robust and fun cast was a really good respite from like the very bland and banal gameplays of the other Paper Mario games, including the Mario and Luigi Paper Jam games. We got to see Mario interact with Olivia, who is, of course, one of your new one of your new protagonists that help you do all the paper craft, and then your new cast of the denizens of the Mushroom Kingdom that all feel very different and unique. It's just such a really, really fun game, really, really cool, and really expecting in this year. I didn't know we were going to get a Paper Mario game, and let it be one of the better ones. Absolutely great. Love Paper Mario and the Origami King. My next game was Crosscode, which technically is a game that came out in 2017, 2018. It came out on PC a while ago, but this year it came out on consoles, and I was just inevitably hooked. It's a game that is basically an isekai, which is one of those things where it's a game within a game. You're playing an MMORPG, but you're not really playing an MMORPG. but it's also a twin stick shooter, and it's also just really, really fun. Crosscode story, really fun, really great. Don't want to go into it too much because I want you to explore it, but it is very much, hey, you're a character playing in this RPG world. The combat of it just feels so good. A great mix, again, of twin stick shooting and action RPGs with a combo system that goes out of the whack once you're able to get into your flow of it. It's just really such a really, really fun game. If it's on Xbox Game Pass, if you have that and you don't want to pay for the game, but if you can get it, it's on Switch, it's on PlayStation, it's on Xbox, it's everywhere. You should definitely check out Crosscode. One of the most fun experiences I've had last year. My number 6 game, 7. My number 7 game is Among Us. What can I say that no one else has said about Among Us? This is a game that took the world by storm by being a social game in a time of social irrelevancy, right? Like, we can't be around each other, but this was a game where we could. It's just so much fun. Lying to your friends about who you killed or who you didn't kill. Having to get yourself into the right mindset. It's just such a really, really fun game. The guys over at the Among Us crew, what a fun game. What a brand new thing. And then to delay Among Us 2 because all of a sudden your game becomes super popular now. That's a great story. But yeah, Among Us, what a really fun game. Some of the best gaming experiences I've had all year. There's an RPG I've always wanted to play, and it's called Seiken Densetsu 3. And I played it last year when Nintendo dropped the Mana series, the Mana series collection. And it came out as Trials of Mana, and I will say I didn't get it. I thought the combat was very cumbersome. I thought the style just didn't look great, but it was a 20-year-old game. What could I have expected? Over 25 years old. And then this year they came out with a brand new remake. Trials of Mana 2020 is a brand new redone remake from the top down of Seiken Densetsu 3, and it just really works. I call it nostalgia in a new form, where it's a game that really does feel like a game made in 1994, but it plays like a game made in 2020. I don't know what you would really call that kind of a mixture. I think a lot of the character designs are really, really fun. I think kind of moving into this world of a 3D action RPG that we've now been able to play in for decades, I think it really works for this game. I do think it pads a little bit longer, which is one of the things that doesn't make it higher on this list, landing it at number 6. But I do think it really does change in the conventions of what a game, when you're remaking a game, what a game can be. And honestly, if it wasn't for one of the games that are later on this list, this would be a lot higher. But to me, Trials of Mana, if it's a game that you haven't played, I would recommend it. It is just such a really, really fun RPG. Hey, this game is not really even a game. You don't even play it. It's just interaction. But Blaseball, man, what a really fun thing. To understand the concept of Blaseball, it's literally everything that sports nerds love with Homestruck or any kind of weird online community. It's rooting for a baseball team, but you're just looking at numbers go up. But the real fun of it is just learning about the communities and learning about the different theories and different genre within the game that's happening that you have no control over other than placing bets online. It's like Salty Bet or any one of those online betters, but it's just a wild game. Not to spoil anything, but last year at some point you fought God, who was in the form of a peanut. It's weird and it's fun and it's just out there, and to me, it's what makes gaming so great. And it's, again, in a world where we have lost a lot of community, it was able to build a brand new community and made online fun and very insular. So Blaseball, number 5. But man, it's really great, and I can't wait for Blaseball's new season to come back. So Hades is my number 4 game, and as we get to 4 through 1, at some point this year, these games were all my game of the year, including Hades, which was something I was very resonant on getting into, because I just heard everyone talk about, oh, you have to play Hades, it's so good. And usually when people hype things up like that, I'm just naturally in my head like, okay, and I kind of don't give it the respect it needs. Then I played Hades, and for a roguelite, I don't understand like how it just hits everything really well. Now, of course, this is Supergiant Games, who does so many really great games like this, like Bastion, Pyre, Transistor. Like, they are so good in this realm. But Hades is just it feels so new and just really cool concept. I find Greek gods boring. I have been through every story in the Greek pantheon, and I could care less. I couldn't care less about anything that they do. However, Hades makes me want to learn more. It was just such a really fun thing. Really cool characterizations of creatures that you've seen forever, like Nyx, like Medusa, like Chaos. It was just such a really, really great game. The design of it is really, really cool. It just it itself just inspires just awe. Hades allowed me to be the 100 person to say this. If you haven't played Hades, play Hades. Hades, it just rules. And the odd thing is, I have not done a run yet, and people say once you beat it, that's when the game opens up. What more can this game give is beyond me, but really, really love Hades. Is tremendous. Final Fantasy VII Remake shouldn't be good, but it is. And it's probably the best thing to ever come out of Final Fantasy VII. And that is a thing that I don't ever think I would have said, ever. I don't know. I literally can't find the words to say how impressed and excited and just over the moon I am with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Knowing who I know was behind the game, knowing that I knew that the expectations of what this game was supposed to be, knowing that I know the hype and fervor for this game, there was no way it should have been as good as it is. If Final Fantasy VII Remake is quite possibly the greatest version of Final Fantasy VII I've ever played. I remember being in the 6th grade when Final Fantasy VII was being made and talking to my friend Dante Chapman about it. And I remember the commercials and seeing Cloud with his huge Buster Sword and asking Dante very poignantly, does he need a sword that big? And Dante going, yes he does. And this game, yeah, he does. There's just so many iconic things that happen. Being able to see the top plate of Midgar, getting to see more of what Midgar looks like. The boss battles are so much fun. But it's just the smaller moments. It's a game that made me care about Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse, 3 throwaway characters who just die in the first game, but now you actually care about these characters. They all have agency. And it's a weird thing because it's what the genre of video games can do. I heard somebody say video games is the one genre where you can do a remake and it feels brand new or fresh, or a reboot that feels brand new or fresh. And this feels like both. And it just felt so the world of Final Fantasy VII just feels so much more alive. And I don't know what else it could have been. I really don't want to go into what makes this game great because that's a spoiler, and that might be a video that we have to do in the future. But Final Fantasy VII Remake, the best thing I can say about it is if you played Final Fantasy VII, you owe it to yourself to play Remake. If you've never played Final Fantasy VII and don't get it, you owe it to yourself to play Remake. It is by far the perfect Final Fantasy VII game. If I was planning these out a lot better, I would have a big old tropical drink that has like 20 different fruits in it. So yeah, my number two is Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I can't believe how much I really liked this game. New Horizons is the new Animal Crossing game, and it's for the Switch, and it just hit me in a way that none of the other Animal Crossing games have, and I've tried so many of the Animal Crossing games, but it just never did anything for me. New Horizons just was kind of the great mixture of it. I'm not sure if it was, again, being stuck in the middle of a pandemic, but it just felt really cool being around a lot of friends and living in worlds and trying to figure out who had what fruit, or whose like turnip prices were high that day and everything like that. It's such a really fun and chill game. I don't know, it's just so much fun, and it was such a great respite for what all this was this year. New Horizons it ruled. I think that's like the best way of saying it. And I just really, really enjoyed myself when I was playing it. So my number one game of the year is a remake from a game that's not too long old. Is a remake of a game that did not come out too long ago. Number one game is Persona 5 Royal. Now, Persona 5 in itself, I think, is a really great game. It's my favorite Shin Megami Tensei franchise game ever. And how do you make a game better? You fix on the flaws that plagued the first game. There's just so much things about Persona 5 Royal that just works better. I think getting rid of the day and night cycle of just like, hey, you went to a castle, you went to a palace early, you have to go to sleep. Like, getting rid of that, I think, is really fun. But one of the things I really liked about this game is it very much focused on the themes of friendship and the themes of camaraderie. And I think it worked a lot better than in the previous games. Being able to work out and hang out with your friends a lot earlier to help, build your systems, I think really works a lot better than in the previous game. And also, like, just fixing the fact that you don't have to build these social links to do basic stuff that should just be part of the game. The soundtrack, as always with all these games, tremendous. I think the changing of even the boss fights were really, really great. And adding the new characters were really, really fun too. Persona 5 Royal is such a better game than it had any point of being. And it's just one of those games, like, for this year, as we went through the year, as I thought about it more, it's just one of the games that just always stuck with me and I really, really loved. So my game of the year for 2020 was Persona 5 Royal. And that's it. That's my game of the year for this year. I wish I would have been able to do something like be funnier, but this is a very personal list, and I think being a personal list, it works really well. But what were your games of the year? You can always comment below. You can like, subscribe, and if you don't agree with me, again, I understand. Let me know what you think was the game of the year. That's really it. I'm going to try to do more of these camera things with my face on the cams. I'm going to try to do more of those going into this year. So there's a lot of things I want to do that are going to. I want to educate and entertain. So edutainment, that's what my whole 2021 resolution is going to be. So I do hope you guys are having a great part of the year. I hope you guys are good. I hope you guys are safe. I hope you wear a mask. And I hope you're good. Drink water. Bye.